Welcome back. I'm Donna. This is Brian. Um, we are talking about men's mental health awareness. Trying to help let people understand that it's okay to talk about, break the stigma. If you need help, it's okay to get it. You don't need to pretend that everything's okay when it's not. We are not giving medical advice. We are just talking about Brian's story, what he's been through since he suffers with panic disorder, anxiety, and depression. So it's his opinion and his story on how he handles everything. This is not geared towards children. So if you want to watch it with your child, then you should be there with your child so you can break it down. But keep in mind, it could be very colorful language. And if you get overly sensitive or if you get offended easily, just keep going. Just don't stop and watch. Okay, with that being said.
And don't leave a comment.
If you do like what you hear, please subscribe. If you want to leave a comment, we'll get back to you. The whole purpose of this is to try to help people as well as help him. So tonight's episode, I figured we can talk about different coping skills. What you have found works, what you've tried that didn't work, what's different from now than back when you first started with the panic disorder. I think maybe that might help somebody understand that there are cycles of changes and something that may not have worked back then can help now.
Yeah, it's definitely changed from the beginning until now.
So we've talked on some previous episodes where you said, like, before, when you would have problems, you would get in your car and you would just drive.
Mm-hmm.
And
that was the main one in the beginning, was just I couldn't sit. Now, I also didn't have any medication. So their medication didn't come along for like a year or so, I think, after. So you just had to, and I didn't even know of, I'd never heard of Xanax, or I don't even know what else was out there, Ativan or Valium or any of that stuff. I didn't know anybody that used it. I'd never heard of it.
so once they put you on the medication, did the driving long periods of time stop?
Yeah.
Okay.
It had actually slowed down before that, because there was about a 6-month period where it was just almost every day. Well, pretty much every day, until I just got so tired that I had, would fall asleep. Would go home, fall asleep. But at that point, it wasn't just the driving, it was the listening to, which we talked about, the sports talk radio here in town. Music didn't help. It was, I guess, just listening to somebody's conversation and getting, because they'd have callers that would call in.
Right.
So I guess just listening to the questions and the answers, stuff like that, and you could just kind of focus on that, plus the driving, and that would make it, somewhat bearable, I guess. Yeah, I don't think, I literally think the Xanax was at least a year after it started.
But that's not really a coping mechanism.
No, medication's not a coping mechanism. It's just I don't know what you want to call it.
It's a treatment, but I mean by coping mechanisms, like, so you used to drive, that would end the news radio. Have you tried other things back then that just did not seem to work for you?
Looking back on it, I didn't even try that. That's just what it was. Like, nobody told me to, I was just in such, that much fear that I had to get out of the house. And the only other place, obviously, was in the car and just driving around. So it wasn't like somebody suggested it and let me try it. That's just what happened.
Right, but coping mechanisms don't have to be somebody has to tell you. It's just something that you find
Right.
that helps you. But I mean, so you drove. Why wouldn't you just go to a park and walk, or a track and just keep walking? That's what. So you chose driving.
Yeah, I guess.
So
Well, that, I mean, I'm in my car, so I don't have to deal with anybody. You know, you're locked in your car. You got the radio on. You can kind of block out the outside world.
do you remember trying anything back then that did not work?
That's if we're talking about the first like six. I mean, after the 6 months, and I'm not 100% on. You know, it could have been 4.5 or 7.5. You know, it was around that time, but it started to subside where it was that constant panic, constant fear, and somewhat. When I say subsided, meaning it's not 24/7. There was times where I could sit in the house and it would just be I'd have the rapid heartbeat. My eyes would feel like they were like really wide, almost like bulging or whatever. Just uncomfortable, but not to the point of I had to leave. Not all the time. There were still times where I would leave. But I don't remember like at that time doing anything else or, you know, coming up with anything else that helped.
Okay, so now we fast forward up 5 years. You're on medication now.
Yeah, the only thing I was on at that time was the Xanax.
All right.
Because I don't remember when the Klonopin got started. I know it had to be after 95, but like before 2000, but I don't know. I wish my memory was so much better. It would be easier, but I don't.
So could you?
I could have been at that point, but I don't remember it.
Well, aside from the medication, could you remember any other coping mechanisms that you had picked up that you saw either worked or didn't work at that point?
Well, I know even prior to that, you know, for fast forwarding five years, I know prior to that 5 year mark, watching movies,
By yourself or with people?
just at home, like on a VCR.
But would it matter if there were other people there?
Um, I don't remember, to be honest with you.
Okay. Now,
I mean, the kids watch movies, but I don't. Again, it's hard for me to like. I don't remember a lot of like the childhood stuff. Like I don't remember birthdays, Christmases. That's like I don't remember any of that. So even when I think back to like my kids' birthdays and Christmases, I can remember bits and pieces of them, but I don't really remember much. But we did watch movies, but I don't. Again, I don't know if that was much later on or was that at then. I just know for me, if I could put a movie on, no, you know what? I'll say it was by myself because I would have to sit like if I was feeling anxious or having problems and it was starting to build up, everybody had to leave the room. Like go to your bedrooms, go to another room, and
I guess I'm going to sound selfish. Why didn't you leave the room rather than having them leave the room?
that's where the TV was, and I slept there. I slept in the living room on a couch.
But if you weren't going to sleep at that point, you were just going to watch a movie. There wasn't another TV anywhere in the house.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
I don't think so. Not that I remember.
Okay. So, as you, like you said, watching a movie. I'm assuming you would just crawl up on the couch and just watch the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What other things do you remember trying that did not work?
I don't think that, again, you're using the word trying, but I wasn't active, like, because I wasn't in therapy at that point. I don't think. 97. No, I don't think so. Not yet.
But
So I hadn't really talked to anybody. So I don't know, I'm not getting any feedback from anybody as far as try this or try that. It was just, let me put something on to distract myself. Everything was just a distraction. So it was movies. And again, it was movies that I had watched, hundreds of times. And a lot of times when it was bad, like I couldn't watch regular TV or, like a TV series or a sitcom or something like that. It had to be a movie.
any idea why?
No, I don't. Probably the commercials would screw it up. Because now I'm not going to sit there focusing on the commercial. So change the channel. And to this day, I can't stand commercials. It drives me nuts.
But that's not, I don't think that one has to do with the other. But I mean, but here's the thing. At home now, if you're watching something, you're not fully paying attention to it. You're on your phone.
Well, now we're, okay, but you're fast forwarding 30 some years.
But I'm saying, so focus really isn't the key to it. It's just something to bring you back down to comfort level.
Well, I mean, at that point, again, didn't have cell phones. We didn't have, well, I didn't have a cell phone. There weren't smartphones. We didn't have a computer. So the only thing you watched was, if you had cable, you watched that, or you had a VCR, which, if you're really young, it was, instead of a DVD, it was a huge plastic like tape that the movie was on. And we had stores all around that you could go rent them. But no, there was just something about. Now, I also had, again, I know you don't want to keep bringing up the medication, but a lot of times that movie would go on because I took the medication and I need something to distract me until it kicks in.
No, I'm not. But I'm saying medication isn't a coping skill, and I just want to talk about your coping skills. And you also said that you weren't in therapy for someone to say, try this. But coping skills a lot of times isn't a suggestion from somebody. It's just something that you do and you say, wait, I just got through the last 2 hours of this. And
yeah, that wasn't me. I didn't consciously say, to me, it was just like, all right, I'm feeling this way. I'm putting a movie on. I'm going to watch a movie. I never consciously thought, oh, well, the last time I felt better, so it was just something I did.
Subconsciously you must have, though, because you knew that it worked before. Yeah,
I don't know.
So once you started therapy, did they give you ideas of coping skills?
I mean, we did touch on this before. I mean, most of it was like, again, kind of distractive type stuff. Where the one guy had me where you would pick somewhere and or imagine you're at that place and then try to take in all the sounds, the smells, the sights, whatever it was. Like I had said in a previous episode, it was about a train, a steam engine that I liked out in this Amish town called Lancaster. Or Lancaster County, whatever it is. So that was one thing. I honestly don't remember anything specific other than that.
I know there is a therapy called biofeedback therapy, which, shockingly enough, it works with a lot of different things. It works with panic disorder, anxiety, pain. But the whole idea is that you go and you tell somebody, like, all right, so your steam engine, that would be, all right, you would use that as like the center focus of it. And then back in the day, they would do tapes. Like like the therapist would be talking to you on the tape saying, okay, close your eyes. Now you see the steam engine. Now you hear the steam engine and you'll have like little sounds. And then they would blow like the horn. And then they would like, now take a deep breath. And you can smell the steam engine and stuff like that. And it's been known to work. The only thing is, do not do it while you're driving. So, I mean,
No, I don't remember that being, besides that one guy with that particular one, but I don't remember anybody else. I remember somebody saying that something about where they could like lock you in a room and you just panic until you just get used to it, which I thought, that seems a little psychotic.
why?
Why is it psychotic?
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's going to work.
No, but we do it to kids all the time.
Do it to who?
Kids.
For
They
what?
might not be panicking, but okay, so you've had 2 daughters. At any point when they were babies, not infants, when they were like a little older, like Tyler's, or they cried in their crib. You left them in their crib until either A, they cried themselves to sleep, or they just stopped, right?
Well, I mean, after you check to make sure that there's nothing.
But you didn't check 4 or 5 times. You checked once and...
Right. I mean, you just make sure they already ate and there's no load in their pants.
Right. So, I mean, this is something we've been doing for years.
Yeah, but
It's the same theory. I understand you're going to say, well, it's not the same because you're panicking. But there's not going to be anything in the room that could hurt you.
You're not concerned about that.
No, I'm saying that's why they say do this. It's yes, you were stuck in that room, but at some point you were going to become physically exhausted to where you're just going to lay on the floor and go to sleep.
And then wake up in a panic again.
Not necessarily.
Well, that seems psychotic, and that's not something that I was going to do.
I mean, like, I'm sure you can read studies to where it has worked, but I mean, and I get it, but the same way some people might think that when you're in the midst of a panic attack, you're getting behind the wheel of a car, that if you're panicking that bad, you can crash into somebody and kill them.
No, I wouldn't.
I'm not saying you would. I'm saying, but somebody could say that because you're panicking and your mind's not working right. Not you per se, but I'm just saying. That's what I'm saying. Like, each person has their own preference on what they want to do for coping. But I mean,
it's not a preference. You keep putting it that way, but that's not. You just, again, it's not a preference when it's the panic. It's just you have to get out of whatever situation you're in. So there's no logical thought to, I'm going to go do this and that'll alleviate it. No, it's just get the fuck out of the house. Or get the fuck out of whatever situation you're in and take off. That's all that was. And it's fight or flight. And my situation was flight.
Right. And you chose to flight in a car rather than going for a walk.
I didn't choose it. That's what I had to do. Walking wasn't going to do anything except jack my heart rate up.
And I guess my question is, did you ever try it?
No.
I guess that's kind of that's like where we're talking about, like, things that you've tried that didn't work.
What am I going to do? Walk around for 12 hours?
No, realistically, if you walk, you would get fatigued faster. So what means what?
We're just looking back 33 years and saying could have did this or could have did that or
Well, that's the whole purpose of this. What you did try and what you hadn't tried. That's what we're talking about. So, for the first, I guess, 10 years, you did the driving.
I can only no 10. Wasn't anywhere near that. I told you after the first couple of years, it had subsided, or that first 6 months it started to subside, and then it maybe lasted another 6 months to. It wasn't that much longer to where I was able to at least stay in the house without having to get up. Still in constant anxiety, and the panic attacks would come and go and stuff like that, but also by 95 I was doing the job delivering luggage, so I was asleep during the day and then was at least able to go to work, and just as long as I could get moving quickly, I was okay.
And I guess that's where I'm going back to the driving part.
And every job I've had since then has all been
driving,
independent contractor and some form of delivery, whether it was food or people for a short period of time, luggage,
I guess that's where I'm saying the driving, because to you that was like a safe zone for you.
Well, a lot of it was also, again, nobody's there. Until 2016, that's when I actually started with the Uber and the people, and that was pretty stressful to start. But yeah, it was, and still to this day, the least amount of people I can be around, the better. And I mean, a lot of it is, and I mean that when I don't feel good, like I don't want to be around anybody, and that's about it.
So in the last 10 years, what would you say you've done differently for coping skills, if anything?
Well, I mean, like I said, it went to movies, and then a lot of the distraction with getting involved in coaching and stuff like that. There was just a lot of other things going on, and I guess everything is just, the coping thing is just distraction. Just distract from it, and then,
Okay, so I guess my question would be, if you've said numerous times where it's just when you go into that panic, it doesn't matter what you're doing, you need to escape. So if you're coaching and you go into a panic, that distraction is not going to work. Correct?
No, right.
So then what would you do then?
Leave.
Just go back to the house or drive?
Yeah, I would go back to the house.
Okay.
Because by then it was, or at that time, I mean, you're talking the last 10 years, I wasn't coaching or doing any of that stuff. But even from the time I got separated and was living back at my mom's house, it was a lot of just staying in my room and, watching, at that point I could watch like the TV series, stuff that was on demand and things like that. But it was still a lot of movies. I mean, at one point I probably had, I don't know, over 1,000 DVDs. Just because I like having the physical copies. I'm not a big fan of the stuff that's online. I'd rather have the DVD. And even right now, I probably have 300 or 400. Plus, I have, I don't know, over 100 on Amazon Prime. And it's just something, and a lot of them are ones that, I just watch. There's some movies that I've seen thousands of times, which people are like, oh, that's crazy. It's like, like Scrooged with Bill Murray.
Mm-hmm.
That I've had to have seen that 1,000 times.
So, are there any coping skills for you that you know personally have not worked?
I mean, that trying to like, I don't know what the guy called it, like transit something meditation or whatever. I don't know what it was. That picturing you're somewhere, that shit did not work for me at all. Because once that kicks in, I can't focus on anything else. Like, I'll put a movie in, and not even 5 minutes later, I got to get up and put another one in, or I'm changing it on the TV, or like Amazon Prime, because I don't have regular TV or cable or anything like that. I just have Wi-Fi and I watch YouTube and Amazon Prime. But I'll, when that happens, it's obviously I'm taking a medication, and then I'm flicking through multiple videos or movies, and they're like, I can't focus on them long enough, or they're just not working. So I switch to another one, and by the time I get the one that works, the medicine's kicked in. So it's not the movie, the medication has kicked in. So whatever that movie was, it wasn't the movie, it was the medication.
So then, in theory, you probably haven't really found a coping skill that works without the medication.
No, probably not. I mean, things that, I'm not sitting in a completely quiet room staring at a wall waiting for it to go by, because then it's an eternity. At least with the background noise, or, I mean, now it's the phone. Because if you get on one of those mobile games, or me anyway, you can blow through a couple of hours where you think, I've just for an example, and this really has nothing to do with anything, but like, I'll go and get, like, when I go home or before I go to sleep, and yeah, I'm 56 and I still drink milk and cookies. But I'll get like the milk and cookies, and then I'll start checking stuff, email, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, whatever. And I'll like check in on the one game and see what's going on. Next thing I know, I got to go get milk again because it's been sitting there for like 2.5 hours. So it's.
Have you ever tried to do that without taking the medication to see if you would come out of the...
No.
So you don't know if it would work without the medication?
Correct. No, I don't. It's always been, and I've said that in a past episode, that, if I could go back and not take the medication, I would. That's what I would do. I would just, if I could go back knowing what I know now, I wouldn't have never taken it.
Well, I mean...
And not because of addiction or side effects. It's become a safety blanket.
I get that, but you still have control to see if one day you can do it without the medication. You just have to...
That's real easy to say. And
no, it's not.
Really hard to do.
I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it's easy, but if you start to feel yourself getting a little worked up, pick up the phone and start doing that, and get your mind off of it before it goes to the point where you need that medication.
Well, I mean, we're kind of throwing a blanket over the whole thing, because there's different levels of. The panic's the panic. to me, that's just, you know, highest threat alert, whatever you want to call it. But the anxiety has a lot of different layers. And the physical stuff, the what if thinking, all of that stuff excuse me, has layers, like different, what's the word I'm using, or the word I'm trying to think of, degrees. So, there are certain ones of each that I can do that without taking medication.
Well, the what if thinking's not going to go away even if you take the medication.
Yeah, it does. My brain shuts down, not shuts down, but I don't have that constant.
That's the fear. That's not the.
Oh, no, it's not fear. It's the constant thinking of 20 different things that have to be done, or just randomly thinking of things that I have no point in thinking about. It's just my brain doesn't shut off. When I take the medication, then everything slows down.
And I'm assuming you're talking about the Xanax because you take the Klonopin on a daily basis.
Yes. But yeah, I mean, there are times where if some of the physical stuff that's brought on by either stress or anxiety, some of that where I may not be feeling the anxiety or the stress, but I'm feeling the physical stuff, I can get through it without, especially now. I would say the past 6 or 7 years, that's become a thing where it's like I don't always have to take the medication. Now, the panic kicks in, it's getting taken 100% of the time. And that's not anything that I can control at this point, or I don't believe I can. Once it kicks in, it's like I'm just reaching for it. And I know there's going to be people that are like, well, if you have the willpower, and it's like, yeah, that's real easy to say until that fear kicks in. Like something really bad's going to happen, and that, you know, that bottle sitting over there will take care of it.
Well, I guess a lot of people would be wondering if you didn't do anything besides take that pill, if that fear went away, what happens when that pill wears off?
What do you mean?
So if you didn't remove yourself from wherever you were at, and you just had that thought of that like that immediate fear, you pop the pill, the fear went away. What happens when that pill wears off? You didn't remove yourself from any situation. Will that fear automatically come right back?
No, it doesn't come back. Not at that time, no. But again, are you talking then? Are you talking in the 90s to 2000, 2010s, 2020? Like, which time period are you talking about?
It doesn't matter because the chemical.
Well, it does matter because back then, yeah, once the medication would wear off, and now back then I would fall asleep. So when I wake up, I would wake up back in with the anxiety and everything again. Now, no. Because I know something triggered it, and now that trigger is gone, which most of it is triggered by the physical problems, not the other way around.
Okay, so what I'm saying though is if you didn't do anything for that physical problem to go away.
the medication takes it away. Remember, the physical problems are usually brought on by some kind of anxiety or stress. It's not just the physical issues and then so by taking that, now, I'll be honest, there are times where I've taken it and then 20 minutes later I feel fine, which means it was going away on its own and I just didn't give it enough time. And I get pissed at myself because it's like I could have just waited 5 or 10 minutes or tried something and then I wouldn't have needed to do that because some people might love the effects. I don't.
So that's kind of the point I was making. If you know that there's times where, and I'm not saying all the time by any means, but if you know there's been times where if you could have just held out for 15, 20 minutes, doing something, especially if it's a physical thing that's starting to set it in motion, and I know everyone's going to jump on me, but it is a psychological thing. This is 100% psychological.
Right.
So if you, and I'm not saying it's easy. It's not. I get that. But if you know there's times when it's gone away in 20 minutes, can you give yourself that bumper?
No, I don't know that. I don't know that it's going to go away.
That's not what I said. I said, there's been times when it's gone away in 20 minutes.
Oh.
So can you give yourself that bumper if you try to occupy your brain doing something else without the medication?
No.
Usually you won't because of fear. I get that.
Yeah, no, I'm going to say no because I'm too worried about what if it doesn't. Then I could have taken it sooner and gotten rid of it sooner.
And that would make sense if it starts. All right, so I guess you're misunderstanding what I'm saying. I see what you're saying, but I'm saying if you're here, all right, so this is normal, like anxiety, right? Just everyday stuff. You're here, right? You take the medicine here, but if you would have waited 10, 15 minutes, this would have started to come down. Yes, if you're here and it starts going up, obviously take the medication right away. But if you start it, and I get it, it's fear. You don't want it to go up.
You're asking somebody who's been dealing with it for 33 years, and that's how it's always happened, to suddenly just reverse course and do something different. And I'm not a strong-willed or strong-minded or whatever you want to call it person. That's not me. So when that stuff kicks in, it's just immediately.
I hate calling it a crutch, but it's going to that.
Of course it is.
So
you don't have to hate it. Like I said, it's become a security blanket.
So I'm wondering if, and again, it's all trial and error is what it is. That's all coping skills are. They're always trial and error. Nothing more, nothing less.
Well, and my problem is I didn't get much in the way of mental health services and coping skills or anything like that. It was just talking and I'll see you next week.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's and I'll be honest, that's not just you. You can have the best insurance and it's going to be the same thing. Because a doctor saying...
No, I'm not blaming the insurance. I'm just saying that's how it is. That's how it was for me. I don't know if, I don't know.
So that's what I'm saying. Like now, can you... And this might be far-fetched. It might not work. And here's my thought process, and you know this. You don't know if something's not going to work until you try it. You just don't. I mean...
But I do know what works.
But you can't always put a Band-Aid on a laceration. Sometimes you need something bigger or... You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm wondering, can you do... Say if you start feeling that way, take your phone, set a timer for 5 minutes. If it doesn't start going down, then take the pill. Give yourself some grace.
just doesn't work that way. My mind doesn't work that way.
But that's what I'm saying. Could you try it and see if it would?
It's like asking me to step in front of a bus.
No,
I can't do it.
No, it's not, because you know in those 5 minutes.
It is, because in my mind, this is what works. This is what's going to happen. Get rid of it.
So the times that it went away before the pills kicked in doesn't play a role in that at all?
I get mad at myself.
I'm not saying at that point. I'm saying...
But it doesn't change the way I think at all.
I get what you're saying. I just...
Again, you're expecting a logic answer to an illogical fear.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying... I guess my whole thing is... if you don't try it, you don't. And I understand your point of view 100%. But I guess my whole thing, and I'm sure a lot of people feel the same way, if you don't try it, how will you know? And I understand what you're saying. Your mind doesn't work that way. Your mind's not going to let you.
I agree with you 100%. And I wish I could, but it's just not going to happen. Not because I don't want to. It just can't. It's like I said before, your mind has that, or your brain has like a self-preservation switch or whatever you want to call it, that keeps you from walking off the top of a building or stepping in front of a moving car, just, unless you have something psychologically wrong with you. And that's kind of the same way with me, like taking new medications. If I think for a second that there's something, it's going to cause a problem, I've had that medication like go in my mouth and I spit it out. Like I can't swallow it because like that self-preservation or the negative part of my mind is so much stronger than anything else. I can't do it. Same thing with once it gets to this level. And again, there's levels. There's, something's not right. Yeah, I'm not, no, I don't know. And then it just keeps going no matter what I'm doing. And then it's, all right, it's time to grab the meds.
So you just said exactly what I said, but you said you couldn't do it. You wait to see. That's all I'm saying. Like, instead of just...
No, once it gets to the panic, that's it.
But the other times it didn't reach the panic stage when you took the medication.
Right.
Right? I'm trying to understand. Because you...
And there's a million different scenarios, and I can't name them all. It's just... once it gets to a certain level, there is no going back. Yes, you can go from here to here to here. Once it goes to here, that's it.
I get that.
Here and here are no big deal. I'm still wondering if there's a problem. And then probably from wondering if it's a problem creates the problem.
Okay, I guess the part I'm confused on is when you said that you've taken medication where it went away before the medicine kicked in. I'm guessing at that point it wasn't here.
No, okay, so it wasn't a full-blown panic attack. It was just, oh shit, here it comes. Let me grab it. Or a physical thing, and then that passed. And then it was like, did it for nothing.
I guess that's where...
But the next time around, I'm still going to do it because I don't know. So
Okay.
I assume the worst. And like we said before, you see a glass half empty, I see it broken on the floor, or half full. Mine's broke. Like, I just assume the worst, and you know this all the time. Like, it's whatever it's going to be bad, or, being a negative person and having the panic disorder and the what if thing, like horrible combination.
Having the panic disorder and the what if thinking, I get. Being a negative person, though, you can work to change that part. The panic disorder and the what if thinking, I'll give you. Yes, that can take years. But being a negative person, that's stuff that you can work on.
That also comes from my negativity and thinking that everything is going to fail comes from quitting and failing everything. And mainly due to my own fault, just not being able to focus on something, quit. Becomes too difficult, quit. That fear kicks in, leave. Don't.
That's not the same as being negative, though. Like that fear kicks in, leave.
But it creates that negativity when it's a constant pattern for 40 years. It's whether it's learned behavior or however, whatever you want to call it. That's just what I turned into. And I'm not thrilled about it at all. I wish I could see things the way you do and be more optimistic that something's going to work out. And my problem is, I've tried more lately, over the past few years. I can't be around you and not become a little more optimistic or try to go, okay, maybe this will work out. I don't know. Whereas before it was, I'm going to try it, but I know it's going to fail. Which that kind of thinking guarantees that it's going to fail.
Right. So, you always have to kind of...
My problem is I know everything's going to fail there, therefore it does fail. So then I turn around and go, I knew that was going to happen. Instead of going into it with, I'm going to make this work. And then if it fails, go, okay, what can I do to make it
bingo
work out better? Or what can I do to change that? But that's just not, it's easy for me to sit here now and say that. But when I get into something, and as this is going to sound really pathetic, but if you go into something assuming it's going to fail and it does, then you're not as disappointed as going into something thinking that it's going to work out or be successful and then it fails.
I think that's an individual thing.
Oh, I just said it. It's a pathetic way to look at life.
Yeah, I'm just saying I think that's each individual. Yeah.
Like, look at it. I'm only talking about me. I'm not talking about anybody else. And that's kind of something that I adopted was that way of thinking. Now, it's funny because there's a line in a movie, if anybody's seen Dodgeball, with Vince Vaughn. I think that's his name.
Mm-hmm.
I forget the scene. It's somebody asked him something. He goes, well, I just always looked at it as if you never have a goal, you'll never be disappointed when you don't reach it. It's kind of similar to that. Like, if I just assume it's going to fail, then I'm not going to be that upset when it fails. And again, that was learned from failing without thinking like that. But when you look back, you go, well, it failed because of
XYZ. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, it wasn't. Most of it is not. Most of the things that I quit or failed at were not due to outside influence. It was my own issues, or I don't know what you would call it, but it was my fault. And I always took responsibility for all that side. It was like anything that I ever pursued or tried to start or whatever that failed, or I quit. A lot of this stuff was just quitting because, especially after the panic disorder, when that started, that got blamed on everything. That got blamed for everything that failed. And some of it was legitimate, that it was just. So I had a cake business for a couple of years where I made custom cakes for people. The hand piped, 3-dimensional, like wild looking cakes. Don't ask me how I got started in it. I don't know. I think I got started because I was making them for my kids' birthdays. People liked them and asked them, so I just started doing that. But then I started having panic attacks at people's houses because you would have to deliver them and set them up or finish them, and I couldn't do it. So I'm done. Like right in the middle of it.
No, I get that.
I mean, I probably could have, like, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not 100% what I could have done, because some of the stuff you just couldn't do where they're going to come pick it up. It's like multi-layered. It just doesn't work that way. Like, I had done 3 and 4 tier cakes, and I had done stuff that you just couldn't throw in a box and go here, It had to be assembled. So a lot of that would just get so stressful that I was like, this isn't worth it. I'm done. Honestly, I hadn't made any until we got together. And then that year we made the Jack Skeleton cake, which was 2 layers plus his actual, like a bust of him with his head molded out of Rice Krispies and all that stuff. Like,
now, I understand not being able to do certain things because of the panic disorder. I get that. But going in with a negative attitude, yeah, there's a high chance that it's not going to work. So it's just finding things to help give you either more of a positive outlook or find coping skills that when it starts getting to you, you can kind of...
Well, I mean, like I said, it's... Now, I've tried and have failed with the airbrushing a couple of times. And now I've been doing that off and on since 97. It was just a hobby or just another different kind of art medium. And then it went to where people would see them and then go, oh, can I? And then I was like, oh, I can make some side money. But then I have another problem, is when I get into something, I have to get into it 2,000%, have every piece of gear and equipment and, all of that stuff. And then it becomes overwhelming. It becomes...
That's something you can control, though. But you're...
And this time around, I've learned, like, again, from being around you, I'm being more optimistic about it. Even though I wanted to get more stuff, I'm like, I'm just going to stick with what I got. The setup's more than fine. It'll work. I have everything that I need. I don't need to keep going and making, I'm trying to make it bigger and better where I haven't even listed anything to sell yet.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that is controlled. That part is controllable. But and that's kind of what I mean by, like, when you see yourself starting to go, ooh, rein yourself back a little and be like, all right, this is let me regroup. Now, your focus is horrendous on any given day. But I think that's because you're afraid that if you sit down and actually focus on something, you don't know what's going to come out of that.
I'm going to disagree there because I firmly believe that I have like ADD. Like I can't focus on or it when I'm by myself. I don't know. Maybe it's
But ADD, if you're enjoying what you're doing, you could still get the task done. I think you're even if
but I enjoy airbrushing. And there's times that I have to literally force myself to go do it.
and that goes back to what I said. I think you're afraid that if you focus 100% on it right then and there, you're afraid the outcome is not going to be what you want, and it's going to set you into a spiral. Because
yeah, that's a definite possibility.
yeah, because I've seen you whip out 2 shirts like it was nothing. Because I'm not saying there wasn't much thought into the shirts, but I'm saying, like,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's times where you'll say, I need a shirt for this. And I'll just start thinking and looking at stuff, and then let me try that. And then bang, it just happens to
right.
work.
I think you're
Now,
afraid of.
it doesn't work all the time.
I get that, but I think part of your issue is you're afraid if you sit and focus on something, you're afraid of what's going to come out, and if you don't like it, that's going to send you on a spiral. And
I'll say I've gotten I'll say 1,000% better with that this time around because
yeah.
I've done normally if I do a design and I don't like it, you're never going to see it again. There was a couple designs that I've done 3 and 4 times, like to get it to where I wanted it, and finally it was like, okay, now I got it. And the other 3, test squares went in the trash.
right. No, I get that.
Whereas before it was the first time and it's one and done, and I'm not even trying a second time. So that's definitely improved.
It has, and your focus has improved in certain areas too.
If once I get going, my problem is getting going. I don't know what causes that. It's like, I want to go do this, but I'm not going to.
Right. No, I get.
Now, that could just be somebody going, get up off your ass and just go do it. And it's like, well, I literally can't make myself, like, it's almost like I shouldn't have to make myself. It should just be a natural.
No, people make themselves get up for work every morning.
Well,
I'm not trying to be funny, but it's true.
and that could be a problem too, that at this stage, it's not a job.
Right.
It's still in its infancy. I have the store, and I have the social media stuff set up, and I'm doing designs, and for the most part, the studio is what it is. There's a few things that still have to be done, but that can be done whenever.
Right.
And I've got the, not enough designs done yet, but getting there. It's just, I guess I look back, I'm like, this shit should have been done a month ago.
No, I get that. And in time,
Now, I'm not going to blame you, but, and by
you
the
can't.
time, no, no, I'm not, that's what I'm saying. It's going to sound like it, but it's a bullshit excuse. And then by the time this episode gets out, you'll have long been healed and done with the knee surgery. But ever since then, you have been home, and I've been, for that first couple of weeks, I was over here immediately after getting up to help you, whether it was shower or.
I am calling. Yes, you were.
No, I'm saying.
But I'm calling BS because you would go back home.
Can I finish? I would go home and go to sleep. I wasn't up for a long period of time.
Some nights, yes.
I was here as long as I could.
Right.
And then I would go home and go to sleep. But since then, I've been getting up, and then I'm pretty much within a couple of hours, I'm over here, and we're doing stuff throughout the day or the night or whatever. And then when I go home, I'm tired, lay down, take a shower, and eventually go to sleep. What does that
Nothing.
look
Go ahead.
for?
I'm listening
I
to.
already said this is going to be a bullshit excuse, but that is like this. It's for me. It's I want to soak up this time because I know at some point you're going to be back shortly. And again, by the time this comes out, it's going to be down the road, but you'll be back to work full time and things will change.
Right.
Things will go back to the way they were prior to the surgery. So.
No, I get that.
And again, it's a bullshit excuse because there's been plenty of times where I have been home and, even if it's 2 hours, I could have got a shitload done in 2 hours.
Right.
I mean, 2 hours, I could have gotten, 10 designs kind of hammered out and done. But.
So the whole take of this is try to find coping skills that work for you. Not everyone's coping skills work the same. And please, don't let somebody tell you, this doesn't work for me, so it's not going to work for you. That is never the case.
No.
Everyone is different.
And there's a million things out there. And, and also, as much as I kind of talk shit about social media and the internet, there are things on there that, you could try that are definitely not going to hurt you. They're not going to be detrimental. Now, whether it's the ice pack on the back of the neck or chewing on an ice cube or I don't know what some of the other things are.
Eating sour candy.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain foods that are supposed to help and all. If you don't have any dietary restrictions or
try it,
ice doesn't hurt you, then as long as it's not something that you need a prescription, or I would also stay away from the supplements that claim.
Yeah, I would also.
I'll tell you this from personal experience. I would also stay away from Benadryl. One, it's already been proven to have really bad long-term effects and even short-term side effects. And it didn't do shit for me as far as, is it better than narcotics? I don't know. But it didn't do anything for me at all.
And that's usually for sleeping purposes, so keep that in mind, guys.
Yeah.
But just...
Yeah, there's a lot of the home type remedies. And I've tried some of them. And they didn't work for me. But again, that doesn't mean that they won't work for somebody else.
And keep in mind, you have to try them once the onset starts, not an hour into it. Once the onset starts, it's where it has the highest chance of working for you.
And you probably have to give it a few times. I mean, even like medication, taking it once and it didn't work doesn't mean that if you're not on it for an extended period of time that it won't kick in and start working, some of the other medications. But, I tried the ice thing on the back of the neck. It didn't do anything for me at all. Now, I could also be at the point where it's been 33 years and
when did you put it on? Were you in a full...
No, it was just I wasn't feeling good. It was starting, and I went and got the ice pack, put it on there, and I went, "This is stupid. It's not working." Now again,
that could be it too.
Yeah. Again, if you're like real,
he's very impatient,
negative, assume everything's bullshit. Bad combination for having to try something and continue it. Like, you got to do this for 2 weeks, like twice a day for 2 weeks. I probably won't make it to the third day before I go, this is stupid, I'm not doing it anymore.
I mean, that's how things work. You have to...
Yeah, it's definitely... I mean, I probably screwed myself out of feeling better over time or, on certain days just because I just assume everything's horseshit. And
so like the ice, I do know that you should keep it on for a minimum of 20 minutes. for it to actually, and it does. So I know he's saying it's bullshit. It doesn't work. It actually does release.
No, I didn't say that.
You said it didn't work.
No, I said it didn't work for me, and I just assume everything's bullshit.
So it actually does release the endorphins in you. That is why people do the cold baths as well for other purposes. And the same thing with the sour food. I am not a sour person. Like, I don't like sour foods, but they do work. It's the same thing. It gives your system a shock, and then it, in theory, it's supposed to help reset it.
Well, it may work.
Right. I mean, it's been proven to work on some people, not everything. That's the same way.
Well, it's the same way with medication.
Medication, yeah.
There's, you know.
I mean, I've taken Xanax for stuff that it didn't do squat for me. I know people that take it and they're like, my God, this is an amazing drug. It just, to each their own.
Now, and I'm also the person who takes the Xanax because it works for the anxiety and the panic, but I don't want to take it because I know when it kicks in later on, I'm going to be, I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah,
It just sucks the energy out of you.
Yeah, and they've given it, I'm not a fan of it personally.
Like, if they come out with something or not come out with, but somebody came up with, if you eat 12 Oreos twice a day, that I'll try.
On that note, so keep up your coping skills, guys. Again, if you found any of this interesting, subscribe. Please, if you do have coping skills, put them in the comments.
Yes, that, and the one thing I found that lately is riding the motorcycle. All except for that one day where I wasn't feeling good from being beat down from the sun and just went out not feeling good. So, but like, we were out tonight for 3.
Yeah.
I mean, we went out to a local dealership. It's a 45-minute ride out there. We were there for probably an hour.
Probably.
And then we rode a bike for 2 hours straight. And I went out further than I've been in a long time, let alone on the motorcycle. And like, not a care in the world. Like, for some reason when I'm on that bike, it's just, again, I think it's because I have so much responsibility. And I don't want your dad to kill me.
Now, exactly. Why would he kill you? Because you messed the bike up or because you messed me up?
Either one, probably. Most likely. I mean, mainly you, but if you got messed up, then the bike's destroyed too.
But just find something that works for you. I do this thing with my students in school. A lot of my students in school suffer from anxiety. And I ask them, what do you do? The top answers are normally, I write, I journal, I draw, I walk, I listen to music. One does crocheting. God bless her. I don't know how I would throw the needles at somebody.
Yeah, I would, just to chime in, I would say drawing and painting would probably be a pretty good one. And it's cheap.
Yeah, I mean,
to get into, if you you can just go buy a pack of pencils and a sketch pad, and that's something to where you could just look at something and try and draw it, because then you have to be focused on that, which again is another distraction technique as far as I'm concerned. But
I know for me, you want me to get lost in something, send me out with my camera. You've seen it. I'm like in my own little world doing photography. Everyone, and I said this before and I'll say it again, everyone suffers from some type of anxiety. Everybody does. If anyone sat there and said to me, I've never had a problem with anxiety.
I mean, yeah, I agree with you. Probably at level, there's different levels, everything from 1 to 1,000.
I agree with that, but everyone's gotten anxious, and how do you cope with getting anxious? That's kind of what we're talking about. Or
Don't do it my way.
if you're having a bad day, what gets you out of that? If you're in your head, what gets you out of it? And that's all we're talking about. Find your coping skills, and please, by all means, put some in the comments. Let us know what you do, what works and what doesn't. Judgment-free zone.
Musical instrument.
Yeah.
That's another one. I know when I'm playing guitar, I'm focused on that, and I don't really. My brain actually slows down, and
And it makes me anxious.
I'm doing that, and then.
Yeah, so, all right, guys. Until our next episode, have a great night, and we'll see you next time.